What's going on, guys? Balkan Architect here, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you my 5 amazing tips for floor plan design in Revit. So when it comes to creating floor plans in Revit, it's actually fairly easy and straightforward, but if you want to get good at it, if you want to be really efficient when it comes to your workflow, and also when you want to create floor plans that not only look good, but when you look at them you completely understand the layout and the design. Now this is really important, and for that I have developed my own personal workflow, and I'm just going to be sharing some tips that I have developed over time in order to make this whole process much more efficient. Now, to help me out with this, I'm going to be using my architecture design template. Now you can find that in the first link just below the video. You can find that on my website, balkanarchitect.com. Now this template has been developed as kind of the clean and elegant template that kind of helps you to just concentrate on the design, so you don't get kind of carried away with all of these kind of fancy families and so on. Everything is very minimalistic, everything is clean, and it puts the emphasis on the actual design, on your part of the work. So if you're interested in that, you can check that out. As I said, first link just below the video. You actually get a 1-hour course where I show you how to use all of the families and so on in order to kind of help you get started. Okay, so without any further ado, let's go straight into Revit. And here we are in Revit. So this is the floor plan that has been created by using that template, the architectural design template. And all of the families used are exactly what's included in the template, and then also all of the little surface patterns and all of the visual styling that's also included in the template. And if you get a template, you get a course where I show you how to model this floor plan, and then also how to get the kind of the entire house. Here I think I have a nicer view. Yeah, this is the house. See, this is what that looks like. So anyways, this is what we're going to be using to kind of show off all of these tips. So the first tip is going to be locking elements that have to stay fixed at a certain position or at a certain distance. So let me show you. I'm just going to go here and just hold the control key. So just hold down the control key, and I'm just going to select the walls as well as the entrance door here. Perhaps this wall as well, and then let me go here to the modify panel, go to the copy tool, CO is the shortcut, and then I'm just going to be copying it off to the side here. Hit the escape key a couple of times, and there we go. Okay, so let's go over this situation that we have at the entrance here. So we have this storage element, here we have this kitchen, and then we have this wall that kind of cleverly divides those two. So let's see what would be the approach for that and how to lock elements in order to make this plan a little bit smarter. So let me show you. What you want to do first is, of course, go to the architecture tab, go to the wall tool, and then let's use the interior wall. And then something that you'll notice is if you try to come here, it's going to snap to the center of this wall. So if you just create a wall, it's going to come to the center, and then you get this little ugly kind of notch, and you don't want that. So what you want to do in situations such as this is to select the wall and then detach it from that main wall, and then you want to align it by simply going to the modify tab, going to the modify panel, and then here we have the align tool. AL is the shortcut, and then you just click this line here where we want to align to, and then we click on this side of this wall what we want to align, and finally we have this little lock icon, and that's just going to lock the things in place, so it's always going to stay there. So if I hit the escape key a couple of times, and if I move this in and out, as you can see, that wall will always stay at the same position. Finally, we can just select this and then move it in, and it's going to be perfect. Okay, the next step is to create the storage here at the entrance. So the storage element is supposed to be 40 centimeters deep. So a lot of storage elements and cupboards, things like that, are 40 centimeters deep, and let's say that we want to use that dimension. Well, if I select this here, it's going to give me some dimensions, but it's not going to be perfect. So what I can do is go here to the annotate tab, then go to the dimension panel, go to the aligned dimension, and then just dimension from here up to here, and I can place that dimension here, like so. Hit the escape key a couple of times, and now if I select this wall, I can come to the dimension, click on text, and I can type in 40. And as you can see now, that distance is exactly 40. And finally, just to make sure that it always stays at 40, I can select it, the dimension, and then lock that in place. Also here, if I just take a look at this here, here we have a kitchen. Now, usually kitchen elements have a standardized depth of 60 centimeters. And let's say that's something that we want to replicate here. So what you can do is just make sure that from this line here up to this line here, it's set to 60 centimeters. So again, we can use dimensions for that. So you just go here to the aligned dimension, and then you click here, you click here, you set it there, hit the escape key a couple of times, then you select the wall itself, come here, set this to 60, click, and we're done. We just need to lock this in place by selecting the dimension, locking it there, and there we go. So no matter what we do here, this will always stay at 60 and this will always stay at 40. See how the lock icons come up? So it's just telling us, yeah, whatever you do doesn't matter, this will always stay the same. Now, probably at this point you're thinking, well, that's all nice and but what do we do in a situation where we don't want to see these? Obviously, I don't want to have these dimensions, perhaps in a floor plan like this. You still want to have that constraint, but you don't want to show that. It might be too much. So you don't want to, if you're just showing it to the client, this isn't really necessary. So what you can do is just select the dimensions, hold the control key, select both of them, and then just hit delete. Now it will give you a warning saying that dimensions will be, the dimensions that we're deleting have a certain constraint. And then it asks us, do we want to unconstrain it, or do we just want to click OK and leave them constrained? So if you click OK, that constraint will stay. So if you select any elements, see, when I select this wall, it shows a constraint here and also a constraint here. And also, if you want to see this a little bit more visually without selecting individual elements, you can always come here, and here it has the reveal constraints option. When you click, everything turns red, and then here you can see we have this alignment constraint, and then also these two, like the 40 centimeter and the 60 centimeter one here as well. And we can just turn that off by clicking here, and we're finally back. So it's a really useful way of adding some constraints to your model and not having to worry about this. The same situation would go with this bathroom that we have here. So you can simply go here and just create a bathroom like so. Now let me just go to the align tool. I'm just doing this really quickly. So you can come there. Oops, I didn't lock that in place. So let's try that again. Okay, oops, not that. There we go, lock that in place. And then what I would usually do for these bathrooms is once I add the door, perhaps, let's add a smaller door, something like that. What I would do is come in here, and then I would go to the Annotate tab, go to the Aligned Dimension, and just add a dimension like so, and then one like so. And then I would say like this. Okay, I select this wall, and this, let's say, must be 180. So I would set it to 180, and then lock it in place. On the other hand, this dimension can be 120, and it cannot go below 120. So I would set that to 120, and lock that one in place. And then I would delete both of these dimensions, and I wouldn't unconstrain it. I would just click OK. Now what this does for me is now I can continue working on the model, and I'll know that no matter which walls I change, this will always stay constrained, and that this bathroom will always stay at the kind of the bare minimum dimensions. And then of course I can always unconstrain it by clicking here if I want to expand that or something like that. But there we go. That's how to use constraints in order to kind of make your design a little bit smarter and a little bit more code friendly. For the second tip, I'm going to be showing you how I show priority through colors or shades of gray. So something that you can do when it comes to your Revit floor plan or any other floor plan, it doesn't matter, are you drawing it by hand or are you using any software like AutoCAD, it's really important to show your priority through either use of color or shades of gray. So how does that work? Well, depending on what you want the message of the floor plan to be, what you want to show through your floor plan, you're going to be using that for, you're going to be kind of conveying that message, and you want to show the priority. So for example, for most of my floor plans that are in this kind of initial stage of the design, where I'm really just showing the layout and what I want to do, and how I want to kind of use the space and where I want each room to be, what I like to do is go and use the coarse level of detail, which in this case I have set up to have this gray color with obviously a wide black outline. As you can see, when you look at the floor plan like this, it's really obvious to see all of the walls. Now this is a setting within Revit which is really useful, and you can select any wall or any wall type and then go here into edit type, and one of the options below the construction is the graphics, and here we have the coarse scale fill pattern as well as the coarse scale fill color. So as I said, here I have dropped this from fine level of detail to coarse level of detail, and that's why it showed this color that we have here. Now if I were to change this to something like black, click OK, apply, OK, as you can see, all of those exterior walls would turn black. Now you can use this as well. I've usually found that this perhaps works on a larger floor plan, perhaps where you have either an office building or a large building with multiple apartments, then this would be better. But if you're printing this on a kind of a larger scale and you want to kind of see all of the elements inside, I prefer to have that gray color. That's just something that I have figured out. Obviously you can use whatever you want, and let me just go back to that. So there we go, that's the option that I like to use. Now apart from that, I like to show priority through the furniture. So in some cases the furniture is there in order to explain how a building is to be used, and I found that showing furniture kind of in the higher level of priority is really good in a situation where you're working for a client and you're designing their house or an apartment or something like that. And then your client can tell you which sofa they want to have and how many seats they want in the dining room, and which size bed they want to use, and so on. So in a situation such as that, I like to use furniture just as I have used it over here, putting it in the kind of first priority. Now in a situation where you're working for a client that's perhaps an investor and they build a building and then they obviously want to sell it, in that case the individual furniture isn't really that important, or the actual pieces of furniture aren't really that important. It's useful to put it there just so people can see how the space was designed to be used, but you don't really have to kind of put that at the highest priority. So what I would do in that case is simply go here into the properties panel, go to the visibility graphics overrides, go into edit, and then here I would just search for things like furniture, and then for furniture I would turn on halftone. You can do the same thing for furniture systems, and then also for the plumbing fixtures and things like that, this would work as well. So plumbing fixtures, specialty devices, perhaps that, specialty equipment. Now this should cover most things that we have here. So if I hit apply, click OK, as you can see, most of these elements have gotten gray or grayed out. Now if I select this one, yeah, this is a sink, this is a generic model, so be careful if you have any generic models. It could be useful to go into visibility graphics overrides again and just find the generic models and turn those off as well, or turn them halftone as well. And as you can see here, it kind of puts the emphasis on the actual floor plan and not the furniture. And this can be, as I said, really useful in some situations where the actual pieces of furniture are not that important. Now, something else to note here, you can even gray out the doors if you want. I prefer to have them like this, but if you want, you can gray out the doors and windows as well. Then the walls have the largest priority. So there you go. That's what I like to do in this case. And please tell me in the comment section below, do you have perhaps a little bit of a different approach on what you want to, what do you use in order to show priority through your floor plans. The next tip I have for you is when it comes to your floor patterns. I like to use floor patterns, and I think they improve the design so much because they kind of show what the finish of the floor will be. And in the floor plan, well, we're obviously looking at the floor, and it makes sense to include that data. It gives a lot more information about your view, so you know, perhaps is the entrance, is it wood, is it tile, how about the dining area or the living room or the hallway or the bedrooms. So here, for example, in this model, you can see that we have some decking outside, that we have some tile here in the bathrooms as well as the kitchen. Most of the living areas are covered in wood flooring, and then also we have the carpet in the bedrooms. So that conveys the message really good. Now in this case, for this building, I have used just separate floors. As you can see, this is just one floor, then this is the other one, and then here we have a third one. Now you can either use that approach. This one is also a separate floor, so that's one approach that you can use, just use separate flooring. Or on the other hand, what you can do is, if I just go here to the architecture tab, go to the floor tool, and let's use exterior decking to get started. Create a simple floor just like so. And then you can actually divide your finish material by selecting this, and then by going to create and going here to create parts, just like that. So now this has been turned into parts. Then you can divide parts. And if I just go here, edit sketch, let me divide that like so, hit finish, finish again. Now these parts have been divided, and now here I can come in, select this, and then override the material by going to material by original, unchecking that, go to material, and then change it from exterior decking to something like carpet. Let's see. Yeah, let's use this one, click OK. See, now this is carpet. This one I can select, and then again, uncheck the material by origin, and then change this one to, I don't know, tile. And then I'm just going to use this one. Oops, that's the wrong one, that's the carpet one. Let's see, tile. There we go. And now we have tile. So this is how you can use just one floor in order to represent different materials, or as I've done here, I used multiple floors. I prefer multiple floors because obviously tile floors are going to have some different, just some different material layers than your regular wooden floors. So just in order to include that information, I prefer using separate floors, but you can use this approach as well if material layers aren't that important, if you're just calculating perhaps the concrete below and then everything else isn't really that important apart from area, for example. But there we go, that's how I like to separate my floor patterns. Now for the fourth tip, I like to use good furniture families, and that brings me back to the template, which has these perfect families. Now when I say good families, I don't mean they look good. It's nice to have good looking families, but I found that for most of my design work, I prefer families that are kind of minimalistic, just the bare bones, but something that is really crucial are the dimensions. So if I just go here to the dimension tool, let's cancel out of this, and then if I measure from here to here, this is kind of a standardized sofa that might be used for this type of a house. So I like to use standard dimensions. Now this is something that's kind of quite common in my area. Dimensions for furniture, see this is like 45 and so on, especially here if I go to the bedroom. So you want to make sure that the bed is the correct size, and also these this built-in storage, that's 60 for the bedroom, and then here for these shelves or something like that, this wardrobe here, that can be 40, which I think this is set to 40. Yeah, exactly. and so on. So same thing goes here with the plumbing fixtures. So this has all been set up to the standardized dimensions in my area and around, and that's what you want to use, because you want to make sure that the families that you use, at least in a spatial way, represent what's most likely going to be there. Now, obviously, furniture is going to vary, and you have something that's really large, and then on the other hand, you have something that's quite small. But it is ideal to kind of go with something that's standardized, that's most common, and then stick with that for your design. And then client, if they want a detailed interior design project, well, you can do that as well for them. But then first they have to pick out the exact furniture that they want to see inside, or at least they have to agree on that. You can pick it. Anyways, for the final and fifth tip, and that has to do with the 3D view. Now, once you're designing your floor plan, I like to mind my 3D view. I like to always take a look at what the building would look from the outside. You don't want to just kind of play around with the floor plan and then forget about the 3D view, and then you open up the 3D view and it looks terrible. So you want to keep in mind where the windows will be, where the openings would be, what the doors would look like, do you have any roof windows, what the roof would be, and so on. So while you're working on your 3D view, just every now and then, every 10-15 minutes, just open up the 3D view just for a second, just so you can see what's going on there. I like to go back and forth all the time, just so I know that I'm not only building a house that's really good when it comes to spatial organization and the layout, but also that looks really nice from the outside as well. So that's something that's really important to consider too. Okay, so there you go. Those are my 5 tips. I think I have said it probably too many times, but if you want the template as well as the quick course, you can get it on my website, balkanarchitect.com. That's going to be the first link just below the video. And also, if you want to learn more about Revit, I have multiple courses on my website, balkanarchitect.com. I have over 100 hours of content so far, and I'm adding more and more each month. So please make sure to check that out. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share this video, and I'll be back soon with another Balkan Architect tutorial. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.